They say if her cries sound close, she's far away, but if her cries sound far away, she's close by. La Llorona, or the Weeping Woman in English, is a bad spirit that haunts primarily lakes and rivers, but has also been seen wandering around in the streets crying and calling out for her missing children. About 5 months ago, a man in El Salvador was all over the news with interesting footage captured by his home security camera. He decided to check the footage when his dogs wouldn't stop barking. What he saw terrified him.
Estas son imágenes de la supuesta y misteriosa mujer que apareció gimiendo entre los árboles en medio de la noche.
The footage is eerie enough, but what really terrified this man was that a few days prior to finding that footage in his home security camera, he had a bizarre episode of sleep paralysis. He described how of course he couldn't speak or move, and that's when he saw a woman in a white dress in the corner of his room. He shrugged it off as a strange nightmare until he saw her again, captured on video, right in his front yard. Of course, there are many videos with claims of capturing La Llorona's apparition or her cries. Real or hoax, the point is that this legend is very much alive, talked about, and widely believed. The story originates in Mexico, but it's truly a global phenomena, with sightings anywhere from California to Texas, Mexico to Brazil, and of course many more. And while these encounters are subject to personal belief, all legends start somewhere. So what's the truth behind La Llorona? Well, it turns out the true origins of La Llorona are creepier than you think.
No hay nada, güey. Puta madre, Rafael, mejor vámonos, güey.
Before we get into the origins, let's talk about the story. There are many variations to the story. Sometimes her name is Luisa, sometimes she had 3 kids, others say 2. The main events are always the same. It goes a little something like this. Long ago, there was a woman named Maria. She grew up in a very poor family but was extremely beautiful. One day, a rich man came to her small town, saw her, and immediately was captivated by her looks. Of course, they fell in love, got married, and had 2 boys and were seemingly living a happy life together. But slowly, Maria noticed her husband becoming less and less attentive to her, and one day he stopped coming home altogether. Confused and worried, Maria was unsure about the future of her family and even more unsure of her husband's whereabouts. One day, she was walking with her children near the Santa Fe River. That's when she saw her husband again, and right beside him was another woman. When she saw her husband and this new woman kissing and being affectionate, she snapped. She became so enraged that she took her 2 children to the river and drowned them both. Only once she had already killed them did she realize the gravity of the situation. Overwhelmed with the realization, she drowned herself. Ever since these events took place, people all over the world, but more specifically in Latin America, have reported hearing her haunting cries. Usually she cries in wails, but sometimes can be heard saying, "Ay mis hijos," which translates to, "Oh my children." It is believed that she is now a restless spirit, trapped somewhere between this life and the next. Many believing God denied her access into heaven and cursed her to walk earth until she finds her children, which we know will not be accomplished. To see or to hear La Llorona is known to be an extremely bad omen. Many believe that if her cries sound close, it means a distant family member will soon die, and hearing a distant cry means a close family member will soon die. Some believe it just means someone nearby will die. Seeing La Llorona is another story. She wears a white dress, long hair draped over her face, and her feet do not touch the ground. Some say there's an empty black void where her face should be. She has also been seen with a faceless child, just like this video seems to capture. Take a look. She has also been seen carrying and rocking a faceless baby. It is believed that seeing her will result in a nervous breakdown, heart attack, mental issues, or death. So this legend is commonly used as a cautionary tale. To keep children away from large bodies of water, to keep them from staying out late. Chances are, if you grew up in a Spanish household, you know this story. But to many, this isn't just an urban legend. Growing up in a Spanish household, I can tell you that you can speak about El Cucuy with levity, but La Llorona is something that people truly believe. So, is there any truth to La Llorona? Well, her tomb is real. You can visit it, and it was ordered to be built by the Vatican. In the 1800s, Siete Reales, Guanajuato, Mexico, would become plagued with eerie occurrences. People would hear the wailings of a woman at night. Townsfolk began to see strange apparitions of a woman in white that would smile at them right before disappearing. Naturally, people were frightened, so frightened that they asked a neighboring church to bless the area. The holy rituals had no effect. The sightings continued, and that's when they contacted the Vatican. The Vatican would send members to investigate the area and see if there was any credence to these claims. Soon after the Vatican members arrived, 2 members saw La Llorona's ghost for themselves. They ordered a temple to be built so that the city can have a holy and sacred place, and her tomb was built soon after, completed by 1913. The tomb was ordered to be built in hopes of providing rest to her restless spirit, but the unholy entity that was being seen and heard would soon demonstrate that it never wanted to be bothered. When the tomb was first built, there was a cross mounted right at the top. A few days later, a storm would come, lightning would strike, and only destroy the cross on top of the tomb. There were several attempts at fixing the cross or mounting a new one, and somehow it would always end up mysteriously destroyed or missing. Now, there is a cross drawn on the tomb because according to locals, it's the only way to keep a cross anywhere near. The events in Guanajuato are verified by the Vatican. Many believe the real woman we now know as La Llorona lived and died in Guanajuato. But the roots of La Llorona are much deeper, about 300 years before the strange occurrences arose in that town. This would put the legend in the same time frame that the Spanish conquered the Aztecs. The rich nobleman who married La Llorona in the story was often believed to be a Spanish conquistador, who happened to fall in love with an indigenous woman that he wasn't supposed to. Historians believe that the legend was created as a way to interpret the pain at that time. That's why over the years rumors began that La Llorona was actually La Malinche, a Nahua woman, who was an interpreter for the Spanish conquistador Hernán Cortés, who she eventually developed a romantic relationship with and had children with. The problem with this theory is that there is no proof of her ever drowning or killing her children. There has always been speculation on finding a face to the mysterious legend, but then one mysterious book suddenly appeared and blew all forming theories out of the water. This book revealed something incredibly haunting and added an even more creepy layer to an already creepy legend, which is that long before the Spanish would conquer the Aztecs would document that they also heard the cries of La Llorona. The Florentine Codex is one of the greatest pieces of anthropology ever found. In fact, it's considered to be the very first anthropology book. A codex, for those who don't know, it just means it's a handwritten manuscript. This is an incredibly detailed book, 2,400 pages long, documenting all aspects of Aztec culture. It's really the reason we know any of what we know about the Aztecs at all. It was written by Fray Bernardino de Sahagún, a man who moved to Mexico from Spain. He set out to document Aztec life. He became fluent in Nahuatl to interview the indigenous people and translated Aztec into Spanish. He began the book in 1545, worked on it alongside natives for nearly 50 years until his death in 1590. The book was mysteriously found in a library in Florence, Italy in 1793, hence the name the Florentine Codex. Scholars still don't know how it got from Mexico to Italy. The book wasn't even translated to English until 2002. Now, the Codex is 12 books total, and in the 12th book, the Aztecs describe how they knew something terrible was going to happen to their people. They spoke about 8 omens that foretold the end of their empire. All the omens experienced by them are eerie, but the 6th omen that the Aztecs documented was the mysterious sounds of a weeping woman heard crying and wailing throughout the night. Cries were heard from their capital, Tenochtitlan, to the outer areas of the city. They reported a deep sense of dread and fear when they heard these cries. They would search for the source of the sound to no avail. They could only hear a woman cry and wail and say, "Oh my children, we are about to go forever. Oh my children, where am I to take you? And, my children, it is already too late." This doesn't tell us who La Llorona actually was, but the Florentine Codex shows us that the story is older than we knew. And this is all we know about La Llorona. Her cries can still be heard to this day. Her story continues to be passed down. New footage claiming to capture her ghost or her cries continue to surface online. So in a lot of ways, her spirit is very much alive. To get the full experience of La Llorona, here is my mom telling her story about the time she heard La Llorona. Just FYI, the son she talks about in the story is my older brother. I've added English subtitles for non-Spanish speakers.
Abril de 1984, yo tenía 26 años. A eso de las 12:30 o 1 de la mañana, empecé a escuchar los lamentos de una mujer, los cuales todavía tengo en mi mente. Yo desperté a mi hijo y le dije, escucha lo que está pasando. Y él lo que me dijo, mami, es la Llorona. No tenía ni fuerzas para caminar ni para levantarme de donde estaba. Era algo inusual que había pasado en mi vida.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you grab your La Llorona t-shirt. I just dropped it with this episode over at cryptidcandy.net. Check the description for a 20% off coupon. All the Cryptid Candy logos you see on my website were all designed very generously by Ashley from Cryptid Coven. All her links will be down below. She has amazing Mothman, Bigfoot, Fresno Nightcrawler stuff, all things cryptid, which I love. I would also love it if you submitted your personal stories onto my homepage. Just scroll all the way down and you'll see a submission form. And if you have a topic you want me to cover, you can also submit that there. Thank you guys so much for watching. It really does mean a lot. And as always, I will see you in the next one.